Hi ho ho, it's me, Elliot Page, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast, and as always, I'm joined by Babby. We have a fun and exciting week of not a week, just an episode of the podcast. It's been a hot minute since, not a hot minute, it's been 1 week. Bare Naked Ladies song, really good. Bare Naked Ladies song.
Classic.
Yes.
Can you name one other Bare Naked Ladies song?
The theme to The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, how could I forget?
Those are
Their
the
second most popular song.
but if you asked me to name a third one, I couldn't do it. So
Me neither.
sorry. But yeah, we took a week off. Babby's internet was down. So I just did a little mini thing on two Senegalese movies. Didn't know they were both from Senegal until after I watched them. Not only are they both from Senegal, they take place in the same city of Dakar, which is the capital. But if you want to hear me talk about that there's a whole mini podcast on it. So there's that. But this week, so we have like 2 weeks, I guess, of news, but there isn't a whole lot. I suppose what happened in between is that the SAG-AFTRA strike is over. I don't know if you're going to be talking about this.
I did not have time to do anything with it. So
Okay, that is fair. So all of the Hollywood strikes are over. Stuff is filming again, which is great. I'm so excited for Dune 2. Hopefully it will come out soon. Because it was supposed to come out this year, and it was because of all the strikes that it got delayed. So I want to watch Dune 2 right now, but I can't do it. I'll have to suffice for 2 movies that we'll talk about a little later. But yeah, so that was the big Hollywood thing. I think they got the big thing is that they were really holding out for AI protection, and that was the one thing that the studios were not wanting to give for the longest time. And the studios finally conceded. So that's a big win, especially.
they did, but I think there was like some weird caveats to it.
I'm sure there was.
We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about this on the podcast, but there was, I think, it might have been a DCOM, a Disney Channel original movie, where like it was like a sports movie, and then like the whole front row of like the spectators watching this basketball game were all AI.
Great.
And I think this was while the strike was going on, so that kind of added fuel to the flame a little bit. But I'm sure Disney could just say, well, we couldn't get any actors or anything, so we had to get in these like weird 3D models. But whatever. It's all over now, and now we'll finally be able to watch hit films like, was it Coyote versus Acme? That canceled movie. And then what's the one? Disney just did it too. It's the one with Elvis in it. It's like bike. It's like bike something.
I don't remember that one.
I don't know. I think it's a motorcycle movie starring Austin Butler, and they produced it. Now they're not distributing it. So yeah, that seems to be the trend. I still don't entirely know what that means and why they do that, but it is a thing, I guess. You can just make entire movies and then just not release them.
I don't feel like it.
I don't feel like it. It somehow gives me a tax write-off, and I don't know entirely what that means because I'm not smart.
Do those.
Yeah.
But you didn't hear that from me.
Ooh. Oh, gossip. Gotta love that. But that's it. That's it for the Hollywood strikes. I think there is a video game actors strike going on. That one is not getting nearly enough, nearly as much publicity as the SAG-AFTRA one, obviously. But
Aren't VFX people still
oh
figuring out?
yeah, yes, the VFX people are still striking. I think I saw within the last 2 weeks another Disney VFX studio just joined the strike. So we'll see how. What is the next Marvel movie? Not the Marvels, because that already came out and it's a smash hit.
Everybody loved it.
Everybody loved it. Yeah, the most positive I guess the most positive review I had seen on that movie was from one of the guys on one of my favorite film podcasts, Film Spotting, who was just like, it's a Marvel movie, which means it's pretty good to decent. And I'm like, that if that's the highest praise you can give this movie, that's not very good. Not that I was expecting anything fantastic here, because I think Captain Marvel might be one of my least favorite movies ever. I don't know. That might be hyperbolic, but it was really bad. And I'm not just
I
saying
feel like
that.
I only want like two things in life: the fall of Israel and the death.
The death of Marvel? Oh no. Oh no. He died right as.
I died?
You died for a second there, yeah.
What?
I know. You
That's
said
crazy.
you said the fall of Israel and the death of. You left us
The
on.
death of every single superhero movie.
There we go. Yes.
It's the two biggest evils on the planet at the moment.
That is true. That is true. Although I don't know, it seems like Marvel is kind of circling the drain. They really have not found any
Inshallah.
sort of footing since Endgame. Well, I guess technically No Way Home came out after Endgame, and it's like, like the fifth highest grossing movie of all time or whatever. So I guess since then, like nobody has really cared. So we'll see where that goes. I did see, and this is kind of interesting, because that Blade movie, I guess the Blade remake or whatever, that was going to be PG-13, but they officially announced that it's going to be R, which is interesting. I mean, I guess Deadpool is now part of the MCU too, which is weird. So yeah, this Deadpool 3 is going to somehow connect into the bigger picture of everything. I can't wait to see Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool fighting Jonathan Majors. It's going to be great. Frankly, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I'm not going to see that film, but I'm sure someone will enjoy it. But yes. Let's get into some of the other news that happened. A24 is making a Elon Musk biopic, written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, who, riding off the coattails of The Whale, decided to do an Elon Musk biopic. As of now, we don't know who is cast as Elon Musk. I have been seeing some stuff, some rumblings. Everybody wants Elliot Page to be Elon Musk, which I think would be really great, considering, Elon Musk is not a very big fan of trans people. It's kind of like Taika Waititi playing Hitler, I don't know if I want to compare Elon Musk to Hitler, but you know what I mean, where Taika Waititi is half Jewish playing Hitler, Elliot Page playing Elon Musk, I think would be very fitting.
That would be really interesting.
It would be very interesting. I feel like I saw someone else floating around, and I can't remember, because this was like early last week that this was announced. But yeah, I don't know. I've seen some people like upset that this is a thing. And I don't I don't totally disagree with that sentiment, but also I don't think this is going to be a love letter to Elon Musk either. Like, I imagine this is going to be like The Social Network or something, where that movie is definitely not pro Mark Zuckerberg. That movie paints Mark Zuckerberg as like the worst person. Although I will say the one thing I really don't like about The Social Network, which will tie into one of the movies we're going to talk about today, is that it ends with like a redeeming, like, I guess it paints Mark Zuckerberg in like a better light at the very end, where it's like he's being sued by two different people because they both, two parties believe they have some sort of stake in Facebook and they aren't getting paid. And it ends, and Mark is like sitting in this conference room after all the lawyers have left. And then I think his representation comes in as like, you're not an asshole, Mark, but you really try to be. And then like that's the last line in a movie, and it's like, no, he's not trying. He just is. Like, don't. He's not a good person deep down, but he's trying to be cool. It's just like, no, that's who he is. He's a scumbag.
A robot.
Yeah, a little robot guy that did like a rating all the girls student girls faces on Harvard. I forget what that website is called. Like
Facebook.
it's called Facebook. Yeah, I don't know. Not a great guy, and neither is Elon Musk. So
Surprisingly, like, not as bad as a lot of the other billionaires, despite being a creep and a robot.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Still bad, but I mean,
Yeah, well,
he's no like Elon Musk or William Gates or anything.
Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. Yeah.
Yeah, I that movie also came out like 10 years ago. So like
True.
Amazon was a thing, but I don't think it was as big a thing in 2013 as it is today.
No, that's when the Kindle was making waves.
That's right. Were they still a book company, or were they? I don't know the history of Amazon.
I think they were transitioning at that point.
Okay. But yeah. So definitely a different landscape. So we'll see. I don't know if Darren Aronofsky is the best pick here, just because he makes very divisive movies. Not that, I guess David Fincher doesn't really make divisive movies. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I know a lot of people did not like The Whale. I really liked The Whale. So I guess that's my fault. So sorry about that. But yeah, I'll be interested to see who's going to play Elon Musk, because it could be anybody. I think it should be Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser.
I'd be down.
Brendan Fraser and Darren Aronofsky back at it again.
It's interesting because Elon is like such an ungodly shape of a man that it's kind of hard to pick someone.
That's true.
Like you'd have to like suit them up with like a Kevlar vest, whoever they pick, just to get the proportions right.
That is true. I don't know.
Don't get me started on the accent.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have seen. I don't remember, like, what actor it was, but I saw they tweeted like, yeah, nobody's talked to me about it, but I'm going to turn down the Elon Musk role because I can't do that accent.
Yeah, I feel like a South African accent is one of the worst accents ever.
It
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It's like a weird mix between like British and Australian, but
Yeah.
like it doesn't really. I don't know. It just like bounces to and from British and Australian, so it's really hard to, nail down. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that's gonna go, but it was officially announced. So I guess A24 is not completely going to go towards IP. Well, is Elon Musk an IP? Let's have a discussion about this.
I don't like that discussion.
Yeah, let's not actually.
Let's not count him as that.
But yeah, So that's that. In terms of other news, we got this was announced like a couple days ago as of us recording this, is that The Last of Us 2 is getting a remaster.
Yay.
Yay. Everyone is
Nobody wanted this.
Nobody wanted this. It's weird. It's always weird when they remaster games for the PS5 from the PS4 when you can play PS4 games on the PS5. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I will say, you know, it's only $10 more if you own the PS4 version. If is that worth it? I don't know.
I mean, it's $10.
It's
kinda nothing.
$10. It's not. It's not.
It still doesn't need to be a thing. But
No, it doesn't. But you know, my guess is that Last of Us 2 is probably sitting at around $30 to $40 on the PlayStation Store, and you know, maybe let's release a PS5 version that we can sell for $70 and justify that by adding new content in quotations. Now, we'll go through what they added. I think the big thing is that they added a roguelike mode, which is...
Interesting.
That's exactly what The Last of Us needed. It's called No Survivor. It will let you play as never before played characters. And I think the one that was in the press release was Lev. Is that their name?
I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know who else. You know, probably Joel, Ellie.
Is this separate from the multiplayer game they're still making for it?
Yes. Although I have heard that might be dead in the water.
I would imagine so, since they've talked about it for like 3 years, and then we've seen zero footage, but they're remaking the same game 4 times.
Yeah, we still don't know what they're making that's original. Because they
Yeah.
they remastered the first one, and then they remastered the second one, both of which you can already play on the PS5. And
And one that came out literally like 2 years ago?
I think it came out, was it
years
2020?
ago?
I think it was
I don't remember.
2020 because it was one of those that got delayed a little bit.
yeah.
Where it was like supposed to come out in like April and it got pushed to June or something. I don't remember. But yeah, did not come out that long ago. But they did the same thing with like Ghosts of Tsushima, where like
True.
that game came out in like 2019 or something, and then they like did a PS5 version that came out in like 2021. It's like, why even do this? Although I will say that one's a little more justified because that added like a whole other like island that you could explore, and there was a lot of other unlockables. But you know, I don't know. I have not seen any gameplay for the roguelike mode, but I am a sucker for a good roguelike, so maybe I'll check it out. There is new cut levels. Could be interesting, but I don't know what that means because, you know, not really set up in level form, The Last of Us. Maybe the first one, but the second one is like days. So I'm assuming this is like combat encounters or stealth encounters or something. I don't know. Did not elaborate. There's commentary tracks over the cutscenes. I think it was Druckmann and then Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey. And then who's the guy who plays Joel? Frick.
Why am I not remembering his name?
I know. I can see his dumb hair.
Troy
Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those 4. Which might be interesting, I guess. I'm not really one for commentary tracks, but fine. Better graphics, I guess. I don't know.
You probably won't be able to tell the
No,
difference.
not really. You can't really tell the difference in the remake of the first one. New skins. Don't know what that means either. Yeah, but those are that's it. For $10 more, I guess that's worth it. For $10, for $70, I don't know. Maybe here's what I would do as a sneaky guy. I would get
Pirate it.
well, yeah, you could do that. Less sneaky is this way.
Oh, okay.
You go on eBay, you find a copy of The Last of Us 2 from someone angrily bought it and then realized that they didn't like it because Joel dies or there's a trans character or whatever.
Gotta kill the dog.
Gotta kill the dog. Whatever. Whatever reason they don't like the game. And they're selling it for like $5. Buy it on eBay. When you get the physical copy, then put it in your PlayStation, and then you can upgrade for $10. So it's like 15 instead of.
It's a steal.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of 70, which I'm assuming they're going to sell it for 70.
I think that's the standard price going forward
That-
for games.
Yes.
For AAA games.
For AAA games, certainly. Except for Nintendo.
You're not getting more content, but
No. But,
actually, you're probably getting less.
yes, you are getting less, but I guess it takes longer to make them. That is their justification / inflation / they need more money. Which it's a noble cause. We all know how poor Sony is
broke, practically.
Activision and Sony and Microsoft are all failing companies. Well, maybe Activision, since they're getting bought. Well, actually, they're owned by Microsoft.
Nah, they're just
So they're not really a failing company. But, gotta get their bag. But that's my little cheat code. Because I'm assuming physical copies will still let you upgrade for $10. Maybe don't get your Last of Us 2 copy until it comes out and it's confirmed. But because we're all going off hypotheticals here. But we won't have to wait that long because it comes out on January 19th. So less than 2 months away. After Christmas. They really fumbled this. They really fumbled this. It's not even like the week after Christmas. It's like 3 weeks. So like people,
that Christmas money is going to be spent.
It's going to be spent already. So kind of fumbled it. And also like it wasn't announced in like a PlayStation Direct or anything. They just like posted it on Twitter. And like that was it. I'm like, okay. I don't know. Kind of shows how much effort they're putting into this whole Last of Us 2 remastered, a thing that didn't need to exist in the first place. But there you go. Very interesting stuff. Very, very fun and cool. But that'll do it for news, I think. I think that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
Eminem Fortnite.
Eminem is coming to Fortnite. This is important. I have been, I love all of the varieties of skins that are in Fortnite. It's like you can have Eminem with like the Invincible guy and Michael Myers all
on one squad.
All on one squad. That is awesome. And they can all
apparently they're like making a kid-friendly mode, so they're like modifying some of the skins so it matches the rating.
Yeah, they're doing that. I think it's like there's some characters that are only in like the adult version. So like your Invincible characters, that's obviously like an adult animated show. They're not going to be any crossover. I think there's like Michael Myers and like I don't know. There was like a giant list that I saw posted.
That's just insane how you have that many microtransactions and that big of a target, I guess. And you're like, okay, we need to start like sanctioning some of these for the higher, the non-kid friendly skins.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Especially since like I don't think the adult version is going to add like gore.
No, it's just like adding more clothes to people.
Yeah, which it's like is a kid seeing Freddy? I don't even know if Freddy's in the game, but or like Jason or something.
Freddy Fazbear.
Freddy Fazbear. He's got to be in the game.
He's got to be. It's like a perfect crossover.
It is. I don't know. I just know that the Invincible people are in there, so I'm just going to use that
Yeah.
as an example. But if a kid sees the Invincible costume, that's not going to like seeing Omni Man. It's not going to be like, oh, I need to see this
I need to
animated
watch
show.
this now.
Oh, and then like in the first like 5 minutes, the entire Justice League gets murdered by Superman.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, wow. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I don't know. You know, these millennial parents really just don't care. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. If your children has access to YouTube at age 5, like you're beyond saving at that point.
That's true. That's true. It's not just
I don't
Coco
think the
Melon
secret
out there.
Fortnite jiggle skin is gonna scar him or anything.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so Eminem Fortnite. Great
That is all.
stuff. That is all. I don't know. About 30 years too late, I think.
Yes.
What they should have done, it's like it's a young Eminem. They should have done like modern day Eminem, like your beard is
It's
weird.
just a dude in a beard with
Yeah.
a hat. It can be anybody.
I saw someone posted the announcement photo and said that's an awfully hot dropping spot. And I said that's the best
Okay,
tweet.
that's good. That's worth
the
it.
best tweet of all time.
That's worth it.
But I think that's it for news. Although Fortnite is also getting Lego sets.
Oh,
Saw that today.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing is getting Lego sets.
They
Those
are getting Lego
pretty sick.
sets. Yeah, everything is getting Lego sets these days.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. I've become a big Lego fan in my twilight years.
Me too. Except I only have Minecraft sets right now.
Okay. I have a lot of Star Wars ones, but you know that is to be expected from this old boy. Although I did see that there is a Batman cowl thing because they have like the helmet series. I'm like, ooh, I gotta get one of those. So Mimi a big Batman fan. So nice. Get your Lego bag, sis.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but I would welcome it. If there are any Dutch people listening, if you could send this podcast over to the Lego Corporation in like a ledger, maybe with like a link.
Yeah.
I think that's how Dutch people communicate.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy world. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. They have to go on a trek from like their city to the other side of.
From their hobbit hole to the other hobbit hole.
Yeah, this really would have been better if they were a New Zealand-based company, but not quite. Or maybe take like your old Viking ship from one side of the peninsula to the other side of the peninsula, I guess. Find the Lego factory.
Mm-hmm. Write it on a goat and then send the goat with you as a message and a sacrifice.
Oh, are they all
I think
pagans?
that's how you get in. I think so. I think that's how you get in with the Lego company.
Yeah, the Lego company is known for being very satanic.
Yes.
Yes, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. Speaking of pretty cool, let's talk about Spider-Man 2. Yes, we need to talk about the story. I have many things to say. Not many things, but enough things to justify bringing it up for a third time. Yes, I did my first reactions, and then I went on a very long rant about the suits. I'm not going to bring up any cosmetics in this part. We are simply going to be talking about the story here.
I will yell if you do.
Well, please do. I'm not going to bring it up at all. Because this is a story mode video. Well, maybe not. I think that's an internet historian thing. I think he has a channel called Story Mode, which I have not seen. But
we are not affiliated.
Not affiliated with Internet Historian. But, you know, if he wants to be on the podcast, of course. Or we could be in an episode of his incognito mode. Very good.
He's got a lot of modes over there.
He does. He does. He's been doing a fancy mode series right now. Very interesting stuff. But we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2, story of it. It's a kind of divisive. I like it enough, but there are aspects that I do not like, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about it. But yeah, so Spider-Man 2 takes place like, I think, a couple years after the events of the Miles Morales game, which takes place like 6 months after the events of the first Spider-Man game. So at this point, Miles and Peter are like, they work well together, and their dynamic's pretty good. And then all of a sudden, Harry Osborn shows up. Oh boy.
Nobel Prize.
Nobel Prize, Otto. Nobel Prize. And I guess the first sticking point for a lot of people, I don't know about a lot of people, but a very loud minority of people, is that they're both called Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, this is the only thing I know about.
Yeah, a lot of people are upset. And I don't, not a lot. There are people out there that don't think that Miles Morales should be called Spider-Man. And this isn't like unique to this game. This is Spider-Verse. This is comics. Like, there's a subset of people that think that Miles Morales does not deserve to be called Spider-Man. You can read into that however you want.
Oh, I'm reading.
You can read into it. Frankly, I have not seen any of their things, what their justification is that isn't he's black.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't read into any of it all because I already know what the argument is without
Yeah.
anybody saying a single word.
Peter's classic. You can't, if he's called Spider-Man, it's just like
He's so confusing.
it's so
There's two of
confusing.
them.
Yeah, it's not confusing in this game at all. In fact, I have the subtitles on because I always have the subtitles on. I'm deaf as a doornail. Required. And it's interesting. It's interesting in the subtitles. Whenever they say Spider-Man, there's like a little emoji or something, but it's like, if they're talking about Miles, it'll say Spider-Man, and then they'll have like Miles mask emoji or something right next to it. So it makes it kind of easy to follow along that way. But also, if Miles says, "Hey, Spider-Man," he's obviously not talking about himself in the third person. So it's pretty easy to follow which one is which. And I am pro Miles being called Spider-Man. This is a very controversial take. That's what the Boy Time podcast is known for.
Suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. So I thought that was kind of cool. I do like Miles quite a bit. I will say that this is, I think the Insomniac Miles is probably my least favorite in terms of his portrayals that I have seen, and that being Spider-Verse, and I have read the original run of the Miles Morales comics. I think Spider-Verse is my favorite, and then comics, and then this one. No shade towards the voice actor for Miles at all, but he sounds like way too nerdy, which, like, I don't know. Like, you can make fun of Shamik Moore all you want, but like, he's a great Miles in those Spider-Verse movies, where it's like he's still a kid, but like, he's from Brooklyn. He's like a cool guy, I think everyone in Brooklyn is just
Everybody
cool.
from Brooklyn is cool.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody in Brooklyn's just a cool guy. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know who the voice actor is for Miles in the Sony games. But yeah, Harry Osborn shows up, and it turns out, in the first game, he had some sort of like genetic disease or something, and Norman Osborn was really trying to fix it, and it was revealed in the post-credit scene that he was using the Venom symbiote. Venom. That song didn't show up in the game. Very disappointing.
Dang it.
There's even a whole level where you play as Venom.
He was busy with Fortnite.
That's right. And the Minion movie. I don't know if he was in the Minion movie. I just know that he had a photo with all the Minions. So I assume he at least visited the studio. Otherwise, how would you get the photo with Eminem and all the minions? I don't know.
I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, Harry is Venom, but in a shocking twist, the Venom symbiote ends up on Peter. And I did talk about this a little bit because I brought up how cool the black suit is. Not going to talk about it again, but I did bring it up that it does change throughout the game as like the symbiote takes more and more control as Peter becomes more and more emo Peter. Never does the finger guns thing.
Dang it.
Never says.
Did you do that in the first game?
In the first, yes. Well, you can do it. You can still do it in this game too.
Oh, okay.
If you walk on the street and press the punch button instead of punching civilians, he does like some sort of like he like waves or he like does the finger guns thing. Yes, so you can still do that, but you know, he doesn't do it in a cutscene. And he also never says, "You'll get my rent when you fix the damn door." Which I was waiting for, as I don't know. There was no homages to Spider-Man 3, which I guess is probably for the better. Which is funny because the Into the Spider-Verse has many homages to Spider-Man 3. So I don't know. That's why it's better. But yeah, so Peter becomes Black Suit. Kraven is there. I do like Kraven's portrayal in this game. It's a very specific Kraven because Kraven. He's never really given like main villain treatment. He's always like off to the sidelines. He's this weird Russian hunter man who's just like I need to have the best hunt. No animals are not enough challenge for me. I need to hunt a Spider-Man. So he does that. But now it's like Kraven has like cancer. And he wants. I'm dying of cancer, Spider-Man. And he wants to find something to kill him and give him like a warrior's death. So that's why he's like. So basically, he shows up in New York and he's like kidnapping a bunch of villains and he's making them like fight. And whichever one wins is going to fight Kraven and then kill him, probably. So Kraven decides that Black Suit Spider-Man is like, he's the most powerful thing he's seen. And then, eventually Peter removes the black suit and then Venom is James Franco. Why can't I think of his name? I just said it. Why can't I think of his friend's name? Of course, well, I want to say Eddie Brock, but that's Venom, like actual Venom is as Eddie Brock. Nobel Prize, Nobel Prize. I cannot think. Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn. Yes. Yeah, so he's Venom. I don't care about that. Some people were upset that it wasn't Eddie Brock. I don't care. It doesn't matter at all. In fact, it works a little bit better because like the big end of the game is obviously Peter fighting Venom, and it's a little more has a little bit more of a punch to it if it's Harry Osborn, like Peter's like best friend, than some other reporter at the Daily Bugle. It's just like, oh, okay, a coworker, not quite the same relationship that you would have with your best friend that you've known since you were kids. So that one hit a little bit more personal. It was very, very, I think it was very good, but there are some things that really rubbed me the wrong way when it comes to Miles' story, is that it is not interesting, really. Because, like, Peter he's doing the symbiote thing, they're doing the symbiote arc, and then Peter versus the symbiote, and then Miles is just like, I need to find Martin Lee, who killed my dad in the first game. I need to find him because Kraven took him. And then he's just like, it's just like a bunch of like really small things. And compared to like what Peter's doing, which makes that whole side feel like an afterthought, which is like Miles is such an interesting character. And it's just like, I need to finish this essay for school. Oh, I need to find Martin Lee. And just like, okay, you know, no real stakes here. But he does have a crush on a girl, and she is deaf, and I have never felt more represented in a video game in my entire life. So, I guess there's that. There's actually a whole side mission where you play as her, and there's no sound. This game should win Sound Design of the Year at the Game Awards, I think, for having no sound.
Do you get to sneak around a museum for 45 minutes?
No, you don't.
Dang it.
You don't. Although that side mission is just like walking around construction site in Brooklyn, following a cat around. It's like that one is kind of boring. No, you don't get to walk around a museum. There are Mary Jane missions. I think I brought this up in the first impressions review. But she has a gun now, which is pretty sick. She has like a stun gun. It's like those like she can do like I guess stealth takedowns like every other stealth game where you just walk behind someone and press the square button and it knocks them out. But
It feels so cool.
It's so cool. I mean, it kind of. I don't know. But eventually, like, she gets a web shooter on the gun. So, like, she can just, like, web people up from far away and then run up and then blast them with a glicky, which is pretty cool. I actually did not mind the Mary Jane missions. I actually kind of enjoyed them. If they were their own thing, I would have loved it. But in a game called Spider-Man, I want to play as Spider-Man. That's still a problem. Even if the missions are like fine and like passable, it's like it's a Spider-Man game.
So used to web slinging where it's like if you go to a character who can't, you're like gonna feel really not good.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, so we're just going from Spider-Man, who's like super agile and fun, to like a stealth section. It's just like worse Splinter Cell. And it's like, why even have this? I get that Mary Jane is an important character. I guess less so in this story, but whatever. But it's just like, I don't care. Like, it's fine. It's just like not playing a normal person as compared to Spider-Man is not as fun. So maybe just have the fun parts. You know? But there's also a lot of like parts where you're just playing as Peter, which I understand that like Spider-Man is very different than like a Batman, which are my two favorites. Where Batman, Bruce Wayne is like barely a part of the like any Batman story. Bruce Wayne's like barely a part of it. It's like mostly a Batman thing. But like every Spider-Man thing, it's like kind of both. So it does make sense, you know, that Peter would have these long parts where you're playing as Peter, but it's just not fun. Again, it's just like we're making a game here. It needs to be enjoyable. And like I'm going to compare it to The Last of Us 2, which is, you know, getting a remaster pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. But that game also has a lot of parts where you're just like watching a movie or walking around and nothing is happening, but like the dialogue in it is so good. I think Naughty Dog has one of the best like writing teams in the biz when it comes to like moment to moment writing. Like it does not feel forced at all. There's no like stupid references to things. It's all like really naturalistic, and it just feels like you're actually like watching two people talk, which is an accomplishment. But it feels
impossible in video games.
It is like near impossible. I will say the only other studio that has come close is, what are they called? Whoever makes the new God of War games. The relationship between Atreus and Kratos in those games
that's pretty good too.
Is so good.
Cyberpunk actually isn't bad for the story missions either.
I want to go back and try that one. I saw that it just got a huge expansion,
Yeah, I
and
need to
people
try
have
it
been
again
liking
too.
it. I'm building a new computer as we squeak, so once I finish it, I will probably re-download it, try it out. But
I'm still a fan,
yeah,
even though it's busted and stupid.
I
It was
really
fun,
I
and
really
that's all
did.
that mattered.
I really did not like it at all. Even in its like, even if you took the bugs out, I think that
Yeah,
original game, I was like, that this is
doesn't
it,
seem like your kind of game.
it doesn't, but I don't know. I have grown to like RPGs a little bit more than I did in the past, so we'll see. We'll see. I think New Vegas has become one of like my favorite games, which
That's just a good game.
it is. It's one of the best, in my humble opinion.
Needs to be remastered. If you need a game to remaster, do
That
that.
one. That one is like in dire need because it
Yes,
is
it is
near
so old.
unplayable on PC.
If I need to download Windows like games for Windows Live, then you need to update your game.
Yes. Which I think they removed that for New Vegas.
I think they did, yeah.
So that's good, but it still crashes like every 10 minutes, or at least it did for me as I recently replayed it, which is a testament to how good the game is, where it was crashing all the time, and I still think it's one of the best games of all time. If you have not seen H Bomber Guy's review of Fallout New Vegas, it is what got me to download it again, and it completely changed how I viewed that game. So, very, very big tip of the cap to H Bomber Guy. But speaking of H Bomber Guy, this is off topic to the Spider-Man review, which never happens in a Boyd Time review. We never get off topic.
Never.
There's a new Defunct Land video that just came out. I have not seen it, but I saw like the first 5 minutes. I was at work and I was sorting the mail, and I was like, this is one that needs the visuals. So I do want to say, maybe go check it out. If you have not seen the Disney Channel, who wrote the Disney Channel theme song video that he did,
That one's great.
that
I
one's
love that one.
fantastic. Why I bring that up is because I think Defunct Land and H Bomber Guy released, I think it might have been on the same day. They both released maybe both of their best videos where H Bomber Guy did like, I think it's 2 or 3 hours that is like the origins of the Roblox oof sound, which it's his stuff is very much like our stuff, where it gets very off topic very fast, where that video goes on like a crazy twist where it's like not even about the Roblox oof anymore. But it's still fantastic. I highly recommend. I think it's like Roblox_oof.mp3 is what that video is called. So check out both of those, and then check out Defunct Land's new video. I saw that H Bomber Guy tweeted, like, I think me and Defunct Land are going to be dropping around the same time again, and I swear it's not intentional. Which
Sometimes it just be like that.
sometimes it be like that. I don't know. They both take a really long time to make videos, so there you go. But yeah, so I guess Miles is an afterthought. The Mary Jane and Peter missions still aren't fun. There's also missions where you play as Miles. Those aren't fun either. Sorry. I want to play as Spider-Man in a game called Spider-Man. I've been replaying the Arkham games. I got the Platinum Trophy in Arkham Asylum. Got to flex a little bit. But that one wasn't that bad. I got the Platinum Trophy in the first Infamous game, and it might be the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. I had to replay that game 3 times. It was the worst. I don't know why I do this to myself. But, in those games, you don't ever play as Bruce Wayne. Or if you do, it's for like 2 seconds and then it's over. The first part of Arkham City, you play as Bruce Wayne. And then you get the bat suit, and then you're just Batman or Catwoman through the rest of it. So maybe take some notes, Insomniac. You make very, very good games, which is why it's like they're kind of fun to like pick apart like this because they're very good. Like compared to other AAA games, especially, it's like, I mean, it feels a little wrong to be like saying what they're doing wrong, but I want to see them make like something like a masterpiece. I don't think that the first Spider-Man game is a masterpiece. I think it is the best Spider-Man game, but I don't think it's a masterpiece, and I don't think that this one is either. Although I wouldn't say, I don't know if I would say the Arkham games are masterpieces either. I think, I don't know, Asylum's really good. I don't know. But yeah. Which, okay, another off topic thing, sorry. I have Arkham Asylum on the PS3. I got the physical version of it, and it came with the instruction manual, and in the back is an ad for the Arkham Asylum A Serious House on Serious Earth, that graphic novel I talked about like a month and a half ago. And I'm like, why is this? And I mean, I get that it's kind of an adaptation of it, but like, I was just shocked to see like an advertisement for that book that is so morbid and gross in like a fun T-rated video game. So I don't know, kind of fun. But yeah, one last thing. And I think some people have problems with this for the wrong reasons. And I don't know if I have it for the right reasons. But it is, I want to say it's insinuated, but it is pretty explicit that I think Peter is done being Spider-Man. At the end of this game, it seems like Peter is hanging up the suit. I guess cut to that very famous like comic frame of like the spider suit in the trash can and Peter walking away from it, which was also recreated in Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi movie. I know way too much about this franchise. But yeah, so Peter's done, and it sounds like Miles is just going to be the Spider-Man from here on out, which I don't hate, but I don't like it either. Mainly because, Babby, get ready to yell. All of Miles' suits suck. And if Spider-Man 3 is all Miles, are we all we're just gonna get all Miles suits, and they're all bad. It's like I don't want to do that. Like, and
Maybe
then
they'll have more time to think about it.
maybe, I don't know. If they still copy and paste all of the suits from the Miles Morales game into Spider-Man 3, I'm gonna be pissed. So yeah, and I don't want Miles to swing around in Peter's suits either. I'm sorry, I don't like talking about this because it's so niche, but yeah, it's not like I'm against Miles being Spider-Man because Miles can't be called Spider-Man or Miles isn't Spider-Man or whatever. It's just like I want Peter to be in it too. I like Peter a lot. I think that especially this Insomniac version of Peter is a very interesting one that we don't usually see. Like we don't usually see older Spider-Man. We've seen older Batman, Batman Beyond, the what is it called? Dark Knight, not Dark Knight. I don't remember. It's the frickin' graphic novel that Zack Snyder based Ben Affleck Batman on. Sad that I know that. Whatever. I don't care. But, you know, I want to see that. And I think that this Peter is very interesting. And honestly, I don't really like the idea of Peter giving up the Spider-Man gig for a long period. Like, it doesn't fit his whole vibe. I also don't like it when Batman does it, because that doesn't really fit either. Batman either needs to die or keep being Batman. Those are his two options, in my humble opinion. But yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with Spider-Man is that like it's like the responsibility. It isn't like revenge or anything. Like he was given this great power, and so he feels the need to do good with it, and that's what makes him a good guy, you know, the definition of it, I suppose. And so it doesn't really make sense for someone with that mindset to give up the responsibility. But I guess it's like he wants to be a scientist now, which like I get, but I don't know. We'll see. If this Spider-Man 3 is just going to be Miles, like I guess Peter could be the man in the chair, maybe, which I guess could be interesting. It could be like a Batman Beyond thing, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not in love with it, but I don't necessarily hate it. But I don't think that the ending of this game was very good. I'll just say that. But that's it. I'm not going to talk about Spider-Man 2 anymore.
Ever.
Well, I'll probably talk about it at some point.
We will at our end of the year list.
Oh, podcast. That's right. That is right. I don't know where it's going to go.
Oh.
I don't know.
Number one for me.
Have you even played it?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's fair, I guess. I'll have to see. It's going to be a tough race for first, because we got God of War Ragnarok, we got Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Spider-Man 2. Those are like 3 of my favorite franchises. So going to be tough. Going to be a tough one, but yeah, that's it. That's it for Spider-Man. I don't know if I'm going to talk about superheroes anytime soon. Probably not, because I am not. Superhero movies are not on the docket. So, yeah.
Thank God.
Sorry, Marvel fans, but yeah, I don't know. Well, actually, I might bring up a weird superhero in the discussion for these 2 movies that I saw, but the movies are not about superheroes. The movies that I saw this week are probably 2 probably 2 opposite movies. One of them is the David Fincher film The Killer, the hit new release on Netflix, and the second one is Cannibal the Musical, a Matt Stone and Trey Parker trauma movie. It was like a student film that they made, and then Trauma saw it when it was unfinished, and we're like, oh, we want that, which fits. We'll probably talk about Cannibal the Musical first. It's more interesting. I didn't mean that in terms of like The Killer's bad, but like, I don't know. There's a lot to say about Cannibal the Musical, I suppose, because there's a story with it. Because this is not a movie that I really was even on my radar at all. But basically, you know, I'm a mailman. I work in a post office. It doesn't really apply to this story. But
just so you know.
Yeah, you know, one of my coworkers just started. You know, I guess I could just be really vague with it, but whatever. I'm a mailman. And he just started, and he's an older guy, maybe like 40s, 50s. And he was like, hey, I got this DVD for Cannibal the Musical. Do you want to borrow it from me? I'm like, what is this? And I like looked at it, and I saw the back, and I saw the Trauma logo, and I saw the front, and it said from the creators of South Park. I'm like, that does not surprise me at all that the South Park guys were working for Trauma. And then he was like starting to explain it to me, and he was like, will you borrow it for Trauma's sake? I'm like, sure, I'll borrow it. So me and my girlfriend sat down and watched it this last week. And so we're going to talk about our experience. It's a very weird movie, but I want to talk about this DVD because I think the DVD was maybe made around the time that South Park was like just kind of blowing up, or maybe like the first couple of seasons of it, because it's like early 2000s, maybe late 90s. The the movie starts. We hit the play button and it starts, and it's like a handheld video of someone walking into the president of Troma's office, and he's slurping on like there's this like paper cup he had, and it's full of chili. And he's just like has a plastic spoon and he's slurping up chili as this guy walks in. He's like, "Oh, I didn't see you there. Welcome to the digitally remastered DVD version of Cannibal the Musical." And then like he started going through the history of Matt Stone and Trey Parker's work for Troma, which I didn't know. They were in like 2 or 3 Troma movies, which Troma is a thing that I have recently talked about. I don't know about recently, but 3 or 4 months ago, talked about the hit film Toxic Avenger. A great movie. I guess anti-hero, maybe you would say. Very, Troma's very, I guess, deliberately offensive or just like weirdo stuff. It's like if Tim and Eric was evil, is how I would describe it. Because Tim and Eric, I feel like when you watch Tim and Eric, it's not like they're ever like, I don't know. There's like some like good quality to it where it's just like kind of like weird and wholesome. I don't know if that's just me. Like
That's definitely just you.
okay, but it's just like there's like they're kind of like pure and naive and like when like the wraparound segments whenever they're doing their thing, it's just like they just seem like weird, good natured, just weirdos. They make weird stuff, but like Troma's like that, but like they just want to like like just fuck your eyes essentially. So it's just like ew, gross. But it totally makes sense that like James Gunn and the South Park guys are alums of Troma because like I don't know. They both kind of they make like James Gunn I guess doesn't make like offensive movies anymore, but I guess the South Park guys are I guess technically still doing that. Although is anyone offended by South Park these days? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not, you know. I think the only person that was really offended by South Park was Kanye West.
I think a lot of things offend him.
Well, that's true.
So
That's true. Yeah, Star of David's really offend him.
I can't take it.
But yeah, Cannibal the Musical. It's a real story based on a true story. It starts with that, and I'm like, okay, this is a Fargo thing. You know, Fargo is always like, this is an actual event. These actually took place. We have altered the names and some of the facts so that to disguise the real person's identities or whatever. That's how Fargo starts. This one's just like it's a true story, and I'm like, that's fake. There's no way that there's this story about a cannibal that's real, and it's real. Mainly because it's a period piece. It takes place in like the Wild West of like this guy. Maybe I should look up his name. But yeah, this guy is like leading a bunch of people out of Utah into Colorado, I think. And yeah, they end up eating each other because they take a wrong turn. But I think a lot of people, I was looking at the reviews on Letterboxd, just trying to get a vibe of how people viewed it, because I didn't really like it, but a lot of people really liked the music. But I will say I'm not such a fan of Trey Parker's music, and I haven't seen the Book of Mormon, but like the songs in the South Park movie I was not really a fan of, and the songs in this movie I was not a real big fan of. So I don't know. I will say I do like the Spadoinkle song, which is the first song in the movie. But I guess the plot of this movie is that this guy loves his horse. He has like this deep friendship with a horse, and I don't think they ever imply that they're having sexual relations. It's just like joked about. Where like he sings songs about his horse, like his horse gets stolen, and he's like, "I wish I was just on top of you." It's like, haha, he's having sex with a horse, which is
No laughing matter.
it was no laughing matter. Which I don't really like that type of humor. Like the Barbie trailer or even the Barbie movie when it was like, "I'm going to beat you off." I'm like, I get it. I get it. It sounds like a sex thing, but that's like that's not what I tend to like my humor. So yeah, it was kind of funny. I will say the funniest thing in this whole movie was they happen across some Native Americans, and there there was two Native Americans that showed up, and they were both on a horse, and the one on the right was like clearly Japanese, and I was like, what is this like intended, like it, or did they just like not have any other, like did they not find any other Native American people? Because like the guy on the left looked like he could have been, but then the guy on the right was like clearly like Southeast Asian. But then it turned out that it was all a joke because like the entire tribe is Japanese, but they're trying to be Native American to scare the white people off. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. I like that. And like, it's funny too that like all of their TPs are like lopsided. Like they're trying their best, but like it's never like outwardly said that they're Japanese, but like their TPs are white and then have a giant red circle in the middle. And they have katanas and stuff. But they still are wearing like the chief is wearing like a Native American headdress with all the feathers and stuff. It's just that was like the one part of the movie where I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. I do I do like that this Native American tribe is exclusively all Japanese people. And I also like that it's never like explicitly like made a joke. It's kind of like in the background, but I don't know. It's not hidden by any means, but it's never like we are Japanese who are hiding to be Native Americans. It's just like no. But yeah, it's an interesting film. I don't know if I'm going to watch any other trauma movies. I think in terms of like other trauma stuff I might be interested in is Tromeo and Juliet, which I think is James Gunn's first writing credit. So that might be interesting to see because I'm a pretty big James Gunn fan. I'm a big fan of those Scooby Doo movies. That's probably his best stuff, honestly.
True.
Yeah. So that's Cannibal the Musical. Watch it if you want to. If you're a fan of Trey Parker, I feel like it's pretty. I mean, I'm not a big fan of South Park or anything, but I think if you're into that style of humor, I think you're gonna like it. And that is the vibe I'm getting from the reviews that I was reading on Letterboxd, is that people who like this humor really like this humor. And then there's me who doesn't really like it, so it doesn't really work for me. But yeah, I don't know. There were moments that were funny, but it was also kind of boring in the middle while they're walking around in the desert. But yeah, that's that. That's Cannibal the Musical. Now let's talk about a non-trauma movie. Even though I think it might have been better as a trauma movie, which is The Killer. A long-awaited return of Michael Fassbender. I think it's been a hot minute since he's been in anything. I've heard that he got really into F1 racing. So that's where. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, he like actually raced in some sort of race and lost because he's not a professionally trained driver. He was just like he just wanted to do it. So.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for Michael Fassbender. So he finally came back to acting, and of course he wanted to work with David Fincher. I don't know who would want to work with David Fincher, considering working conditions. But I guess Michael Fassbender wanted to do it, and he plays a really cool guy. But I can't tell if he's actually cool or if he thinks he's cool, because the whole movie is like narrated, and the killer, I don't even know if we know his real name, but I'll just call him the killer. He's like narrating the entire thing, and he's like talking about how good of a killer he is, and like what you need to do to be a good hired gun, and like you have to forbid empathy, and he just like he thinks he's the coolest guy ever, but like he exclusively listens to the Smiths. And
That is pretty cool.
it's pretty cool. And the first, like, it's like 20 minutes where he's just like watching this guy across the street, and he's just waiting, and he has this sniper, and he's just like, it takes like 2 or 3 days of him just like staking out this place, and the guy finally shows up at this apartment, and he misses. And like that's the whole catalyst for this whole movie, is that this guy may or may not suck, like, but like he thinks he's really good. And I don't know if I'm interpreting this right, but that's how I was viewing it, where it was just like he thinks he's really, really good, but he misses his first shot. And so because of that, then like some countermeasures are put in place, and like his house is attacked while he's away. And because of that, his girlfriend, or I don't know, I've heard some people say that like she was like the housekeeper, but then at the end they're together. So I don't know, but that also might be because she's Latina. So I don't know. I always assumed that she was the girlfriend, but then I heard some, like, I've seen some reviews from people who were like, yeah, she was the housekeeper, and then because she was attacked and Michael Fassbender did all these things to, like, avenge her, and then they were together at the end. But I didn't get that, so I don't know where they're getting that, which maybe I missed it. I don't know. But, yeah, so she's attacked, and then he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to do some stuff. I'm gonna make sure that this never happens again. So like he tracks down the people that actually attacked her and kills them, and then he tracks down like his boss and like whoever set up the gig, and kills them. That's boiling down this 2-hour movie into 2 minutes or something. It's a very long movie. It's very kind of drawn out. It's a slow burn, which I was not expecting from David Fincher. I mean, I think David Fincher is kind of the king of the thriller. Maybe, I don't know. I know like Alfred Hitchcock has that title, but like, man, watch like The Birds and then watch Seven and tell me which one is more thrilling. Because in my opinion, it's Seven. Even though Psycho is fantastic, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Not really my cup of tea, really. I do like kind of neo-noir hitman movies, but I don't know. This one felt like there was a lot to it, and I've seen some reviews from people that like they definitely got a whole lot more out of it than I did, but I don't know. I just don't think it was for me. But like I did like that the guy sucked, and he listened to the Smiths the whole time. I think the entire soundtrack is all Smiths songs, which is pretty cool. I love Morrissey. I think he's a role model to me and my children.
Best guy ever made.
Yeah, really cool guy. So, yeah, I will say, I don't know anything about the Smiths. I know very little about Morrissey, but I did see the like FNAF parody of that if we were to die in a bus, what a beautiful way to die song or whatever. Where it's like, what if the FNAF bus crashed into us? What a beautiful way to die. What if the Five Nights at Freddy's train or something? I don't know. It was like something like that. My girlfriend showed it to me the night before I watched this movie.
Yeah.
And that song didn't come up until the end credits. It's like
Oh my
the
God.
last shot, and then it cuts to that song. That exact part in the song is the very first shot
That's
of the
perfect.
credits. And it like kind of ruined it for me because I was like, oh, this is the FNAF bus song.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad like video game parody music is like continuing to live on with the new generation.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well,
It will forever be like one of my favorite genres of things.
I don't know if the FNAF bus was like a genuine parody. I think it was just like a TikTok sound that was going around.
Doesn't matter.
I will say the Leviathan Chug Jug with you.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
That's a great one. Yeah, I hope he makes a new banger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good idea for a end of marathon video. Is just what's your favorite Minecraft/Fortnite parody song?
Oh, that's
We could
not a bad
torture ourselves
idea.
and have to listen to like so many of those.
Yeah, you know, there's gonna be
It'd be
like
awesome.
there's gonna be parodies for the same song,
Oh yeah,
which is gonna
Yeah.
suck.
I think Mine Diamonds by that one kid is probably the best. Like that's the pinnacle.
Oh yeah, that one hurts my ears, but
It does, but it's really good.
it's very good. What is it, MCAP Steve?
Yeah, MCAP Steve.
Which, you know, honestly, for like a kid, pretty g dang good at like.
True.
He was on top of like the ironic parody thing for being like in the target demographic for those Minecraft parodies. Just saying. He deserves more
It's
credit.
true. Yeah, visionary.
A visionary for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about The Killer. It's a very specific movie. It might be David Fincher's COVID movie. There's not a lot of people in it. And a lot of it is just Michael Fassbender talking to himself.
Just like me for real.
Yeah. This is like the most, like,
I'm glad. We needed another one.
yeah. Yeah. It's been a while since The Joker came out.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this one. Although I think this one's too artsy. Like, this is not like
Not
a
a-
popcorn movie.
Drive situation.
No, I don't think so. It's too dry. It's like, it takes 20 minutes for the first kill and the guy misses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny though. I don't know. I found it funny. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny. I think there are parts that are supposed to be funny, but the way that people are talking about it, it seems like people are mostly taking it seriously. It's like, I don't know. I can't take this guy seriously. Everything he does, he messes up. Although I will say, and this might be a weird comparison, because like I heard it in the Film Spotting review, and I thought this before I heard it in the Film Spotting review. They compared it to Jean Dielman, that like 4-hour feminist movie that won the Sight and Sound thing. And I thought of that too, because it's like, you know, the beginning, he seems to be on top of things, then he misses the shot, and then like it kind of like deteriorates from there, and like he starts breaking his own rules where he's like deny empathy, and he does certain things in the movie that some would consider empathetic, even though he is murdering people, but he's doing it in a way that will end up helping their families or doing something like that. So in that way, like he's kind of being empathetic, and like, because I'll just talk about it. Sorry, slight spoilers for The Killer, but there's this one person that he is going to kill, and they are like, hey, please make it look like an accident because I want my family to get the life insurance money. and or just make it quick or whatever. And so like they are upstairs and he just like snaps her neck and pushes her down the stairs, making it look like an accident, which would have been way like better for him, that he wouldn't get caught or anything if he like was more discreet, like took her out and then like disposed of the body somewhere else, and cut her into little pieces and had her swim with the fish or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so he like starts breaking his own rules, and like it's because of that, like that one shot that he misses in the beginning of the movie, his like whole kind of worldview changes, which kind of interesting. Like he never blinks in the whole movie. And he barely talks. I think he might have like only 10 lines of dialogue throughout like the entire thing. Like the rest of it is inner monologue. Except at like the very end, his eye twitches. Which I don't know how you twitch your eye on command. It's pretty impressive. I don't know how you do that. But I guess that's Michael Fassbender for you. So yeah, there's stuff. If you want to dig into it, you can. It is that kind of movie, but I'm not that kind of guy. So sorry. I like The Toxic Avenger. That's a good movie. But I will say the DVD for Cannibal the Musical, just to wrap up, I counted the amount of times that the little Toxic Avenger like face was on that DVD. I counted 10 times that the Toxic Avenger guy was on the DVD for Cannibal the Musical. I don't think it's like a hidden Mickey Mouse thing.
Name recognition.
Yeah. I think he's just part of the Troma logo, and for some reason they had their logo on the DVD 10 times. So, but it's like, hey, did you know we made the Toxic Avenger? That's our big movie. So, watch The Killer on Netflix and watch Cannibal the Musical if you can find my coworker. Ask if you can borrow the DVD, because I left the DVD in my PlayStation, and I found out the next day, and I was like, hey, can I give it to you? And he's like, I already gave it to someone else. I'm like, what? How many people are watching this movie? There can't be this much demand for Cannibal the Musical. I just refuse to believe it. Especially since I guess I didn't even really want it, and he just gave it to me, so maybe that's just what's happening. So, there you go. If you can find him, I'm not going to tell you his name or where he is, but if you can find him and ask for Cannibal the Musical, you might get it. So that's the only way I know how to get it. So you might be SOL any other way. I don't know what it's on or anything. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for me. I'm going to throw it on over to Babby now for whatever he's got planned.
Well, there's actually a lot of music.
Oh, okay.
I missed last week, and there was some things that happened.
Well, that's true.
But I guess we'll talk about it. Where do we start? Talking about a couple artists that I didn't think I was going to talk about 2 weeks ago.
Jay-Z?
Jay-Z? No.
Okay.
I don't got time for you, Jay-Z. I guess we'll start with The Smile. New single, Wall of Eyes. And with this, they announced the new album coming out, which is also Wall of Eyes. And this comes out, when did this come out? January 26th next year. Thank God. I was not thinking that they were going to do one this quick or at all. But I'm glad they are. Bending Hectic, the first single of the album, technically is on the record as well, which is great because that song's fantastic. But looks like we're going to have like 8 tracks, 45 minutes. I'm excited. First Smile Record's pretty good. I'm glad that they're finding success in their little side project, because anytime I can get some Tom York and Johnny Greenwood in my ears, I'm going to take it. But Wall of Eyes single, pretty good. It's very elevator jazzy, I think that's what I'm going to call it.
Okay.
It's very light. But in typical Smile fashion, everything is very subtle and detailed. I think that's what I like about them specifically, and what differentiates them from the main Radiohead catalog is it doesn't sound extremely out there, but the little details, and you just know that like the people making this are like seasoned veterans, because there are so many little details and quirks and things in there that just set it apart quite a bit. And that's especially the case in both of the singles we have for this one. But this one's got this kind of like elevator jazz. It's a little eerie. It opens up a little bit, but it does stay pretty much in that same lane. There's no huge crazy build like Bending Hectic has, but it's really great. I mean, I think both of the singles here are really good. I think if we're judging like the singles off of the first record compared to this one, I feel like this one has the stronger singles. Because I was never a big fan of "You Will Never Work in Television Again." I think that was the first song they debuted for the Smile in general, and I'm like, it's okay, but like I'm not into like, I don't know. He did like a typical like '90s rock thing, and I'm like, not my style when you're like old, and definitely old to the point where it's like, I don't know if you have that kind of punk fire in you anymore. But this thing, I feel like Tom's in his bag with this thing. Like he's on his weirdo stuff, and this is kind of what he does best. So very, very, very much looking forward to this record at the beginning of the next year. Who did the music video? They did a music video with it. Paul Thomas Anderson did the music video. So
Oh, big guns.
yeah, it is a really good music video. I like it quite a bit. But definitely looking out for that in January, because that's going to be probably the big first hyped album of mine for the new year, which is coming pretty quickly. Alrighty. I'm just realizing that everybody we're talking about is like an older artist this week. So next, I think we'll do Andre. We'll do Andre.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, this was crazy. I missed Pod last week, unfortunately, but Andre 3000 released an album, which is a sentence I thought I would never say in my life, honestly. But there's no rapping on it at all. There's no lyrics on it at all. There's no voices anywhere. And I like it. I mean, some people are going to be like, ooh, that's not what we wanted. But I don't think it was ever about what people wanted. I feel like Andre's been very, very, very open with the fact that he's had extreme writer's block and doesn't feel like he has anything left to say when it comes to rap. He's expressed this many times. That's why I didn't even think we were going to be getting a album from him at all, because like he said in many interviews that like it's just not working, which is fine. And we also knew in the saga that he's been playing his flute in random places.
Yeah.
For years, so it only makes perfect sense for him to release a flute-centered ambient spiritual jazz album that's an hour and a half long. I love this man so much. Look at the song titles. This looks like Illinois.
Well, I've not looked at that.
Pretty funny. Yeah, these are great song titles. I'm not even going to read them because I'd be here for 2 days. Actually, there is one that says John Wayne Gacy in it, which I think is really funny considering the syntax of these titles. Yeah. But the actual album is really, really great. I'm a fan of more ambient stuff. This reminded me specifically of the Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders record from, I think, last year or 2 years ago, which is very much in the same kind of ambient spiritual jazz type realm. And that's to say it's like fantastic to put on in the background if you just want to chill out for a while. It's the kind of ambient music where it's like you can give it your full attention, or you can kind of have it on in the background and it's going to sound good either way. It's mixed really well. It's not just the flute. I think that's what people were like kind of weary of when he first announced this, where it's like, is it just an hour and a half of him playing flute? No, it's full arrangements with full kind of ensembles, and then he plays over the top. in more of a free form, again, a very Pharoah Sanders-esque kind of way that these are built, which I really enjoy. The flute's funky, it's different, it's weird, and I think it fits a lot of these tracks. I feel like some of them, there's a little bit of weird spacing in terms of when the flute comes in, but with an hour and a half like ambient record, it's hard to kind of dig into the details of it. So it's kind of just something you need to dive in and experience if you're into that kind of thing. That being said, like, if Andre rapped over these songs, this would be the best album ever made, like hands down, because it's weird because it really does sound like Andre, but it's nothing he's done before. But it still has that personality and that mystery and that excitement and that kind of like free flowing nature to it. So I'm glad his personality came through, and you could definitely identify that this is an Andre 3000 album. It's just very different and odd. But this is Andre we're talking about. So I would much rather have this than him forcing himself to make a rap album when his heart's not in it, because then it's not going to turn out very good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's doing what he wants to do. That being said, I mean, like, he did Life of the Party on Donda 2 years ago, and that was like the best verse of that year. So I think it really comes down to like him thinking he doesn't have a lot to talk about, which at the end of the day is going to be the big opinion on it, because if he doesn't think so, then it's not going to happen. He definitely brings up age into it, where he's like, I don't know what I'm going to rap about. I'm like in my 40s. Interesting enough, the two other rap albums I'm talking about this week also feature a ton of artists that are in their 40s. But I think it's just up to his confidence level and stuff like that. But I'm so glad this thing exists. It's fantastic. I've listened to it through maybe twice. Still can't really pick out what song's what. I don't really know if I need to. If you're into this kind of thing, you're going to gravitate towards it, and you're really going to like it. If you're not, then that's cool. But I mean, I'm a big fan of this stuff, and it's something I'm glad I got a new kind of thing to dive into like that. So check it out. It's not, I think Pitchfork gave it Best New Music, and they put it under the rap category, which is
Just not true.
Not true. I think the Grammys also announced nominations for stuff. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't care about the Grammys.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised to see the Andre 3000 album in the rap category next year, given their track record.
It doesn't make any sense.
He is a rapper, but he's playing the flute, and he's playing it good. He also said he did a lot of like uncredited features of him playing the flute on big rap songs. So everybody's on this like scavenger hunt trying to figure out where Andre was playing on songs, which is kind of fun. But yeah, really, really, really good. Let's see where we go from here. I think we'll go to Danny Brown next. A 40-year-old rapper. Much like Andre, except he doesn't play the flute. Quaranta is the album, or 40 in Spanish, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Highly anticipated. We've known about this album's title at least for like a year and a half. So I'm glad it finally came out. It was actually my third listen out of all the albums this week. I think it's just because I knew the vibe was going to be a lot different than what I was going for. But this is great. Very, 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 very different than a typical Danny Brown album. Specifically his voice. I mean, it's kind of crazy he did Scare in the Hose and this album in the same year, because his voice and his mentality sounds completely different. First solo album since 2019's, You Know What I'm Saying. I think Q-Tip did a lot of the production on that one.
Yeah.
It was a lot more of a more wavy, fun, bouncy experience. This one is very much not. Probably his most kind of sober, reflective album to date. It doesn't reach the crushing lows of Atrocity Expedition, but it does kind of dive in that realm a little bit. It's really, really, really well made. I feel like this is something that like you can't make until you've kind of come out of that really dark place and you've had time to reflect, because everything just sounds so buttoned up and mature, and the tone is great and consistent. I mean, there are still fun tracks on here, like the first single, Tantor, is really good. Dark Sword Angel is also a more upbeat one. But the styles and sounds he plays with are fantastic. Intro is very, very, very somber. Again, he's using like a low register, like normal voice instead of his like more high, screechy, like nasally voice that he always uses,
Yeah.
which is weird because I can actually understand him a lot more. And I'm like, this is the same person. But I mean, the whole flow of it is fantastic. The beats are incredible. I think Ain't My Concern is one of my favorites. I think the thing that works best with this record is simplicity, and the nuances within that simplicity when it comes to the beats, because it's pretty standard, like, you know, drum loops. Everything's very dark, very almost industrial, kind of claustrophobic, but it also feels more old school 90s type. But a lot of these beats kind of transform subtly as the songs go on to give it more like a cinematic quality. Ain't My Concern is just so good with the sub bass, and you have these keys coming in. Again, Danny Brown, like, when it comes to Detroit rappers, like, if you have like him and Boldy James and Bruiser Wolf, Detroit just has like such a distinct sound. It's like a collage of Chicago and New York. You get that kind of grime, but you also get the, it's not like New York grime. It's just kind of dark and heavy and bass heavy. It's really great. But Dark Sword Angel, great. I mean, high register Danny, pretty similar to what we would get. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about lyrics for this album because I still need to really dive into it. I get the general gist of the album, him pretty much reflecting on his life and the mistakes he's made, and him hitting 40 and still doing this rapping thing, and wondering if he should continue on or if he should hang it up, and all of these kind of things that you'd, you know, expect to hit at this age. But he also goes quite far out from that. He goes back on YBP to like his youth, and just the insane household he grew up in. Again, beat is super cinematic with this. Bruiser Wolf's on this song. We're going to talk about Bruiser Wolf a lot today because he is on a lot of the stuff this week. Bruce, I don't know if I've talked about Bruiser Wolf on the podcast. He is pretty much like Danny Brown's sidekick in my mind. Same area, same everything. They collab on a lot of stuff together. He has kind of a Danny Brown inflection, but his flow is like stand-up comic. It's really, really, really interesting and unique. It's funny. It keeps you engaged. It's ridiculous, but it also goes really hard. Just like one of the most interesting voices I've ever heard in a while. I think a lot of people compare him to E40. I haven't listened to enough E40 to like comment on that, but he's really great. It's about as acquired taste as a Danny Brown is. So if you already like Danny Brown, I feel like Bruiser Wolf is not much of a jump. But he does great on the song. There's a certain beat switch when he comes in that really is crazy, because it goes back to like an 80s style hip hop beat, and then switches into a trap remix of that 80s beat halfway through his verse. I don't know. It goes through all the eras here, and it's like Danny Brown's age really plays into a lot of this record. So you get a lot of the old hip hop influences, and they mix it with the new. It just really, really, really. It's one of those albums where it's like you just, as you're listening to it, you're like, this is really, really, really well put together. And the thought process around all these tracks is like so tight knit. I think that plays into it being 11 tracks in 34 minutes too. Like all these tracks definitely have had a lot of work done to them. But that one's really great. One of my favorites. Jen's Terrific Vacation is, oof. This one's great. This was the second single. I didn't listen to it until I listened to the record. I think that was probably a good decision. But pretty much just a straight on gentrification track, talking about Olive Gardens and Starbucks getting put up on corners, and rent going low or rent rising up, and all this kind of stuff, which you'd imagine on a song like this. It just goes ridiculously hard. I love this song. and it has a play. It kind of reminds me of Mr. Morale with the beat. It kind of has this like play kind of stage atmosphere almost to it. And Danny Brown's a lot more eccentric on something like that, and it turns out really well. There's also some that like into like an R&B kind of flavor. I think Shakedown was the one. Reminded me of like a more like late '90s R&B beat, but one of like the slower jams, which was really really cool. Yeah, this is a really somber record. Like you get a couple of bangers, but for the most part, it's like really reflective, somber stuff. Even with something like Atrocity Exhibition, it kind of tackles some of the same subject matter, but the soundscape of that record is so insane and manic that it's definitely like a very different vibe than this turns out being. Yeah, Celibate with Mike is great. Some of the best wordplay I've heard in a while. It's just oof. I don't want to give into all the lyrics here, but it's really really great. I think if you have to listen to any song out of this record, I would say this one or Jen's Terrific Vacation. Both of those are big statements. Hanami is also great. I just love the beat on this one. It's just I don't know. It has kind of like that driving guitar feel, even though it's a rap song, and that's always good. It's just, the beat's just kind of like constantly moving forward, even though there's not too much happening. But really great. Bass Jam closes out the record. I did not know this was the ending of the record because I was not looking at the track listing when I first listened. It makes a lot more sense now that I look back on it, but very very kind of slow diminish to the record. There's no grand ending statement. It's just a very, very, very slow beat with heavy bass and kind of a reflective tone that kind of like slowly draws it to a close. But this thing's fantastic. I love it. I need to listen to it more, obviously. But I think this is probably my second favorite Danny Brown record. I like You Know What I'm Saying because it's fun and it's a little bit more lighthearted. But this one is just so well buttoned up, and the songs are all different, but you can definitely tell like they are closely knit with all the other ones on this track list. Nothing stands out as like, why is this on here? Yeah, I still think Atrocity Exhibition is, his masterpiece. I think anybody that's heard that album would probably agree. Crazy mix of like abstract and like experimental and hardcore hip hop and like noise rock almost. It's insane. But really, really, really good. He's been killing it this year. He's got Scaring the Hose and this. Great, great ending of the year for him. He might show up in my top 5, 10 twice. I don't know.
What?
Maybe. I don't know. I need to button down this stuff because it's getting close. But then this week happened and it messed everything up again. So definitely listen to that. 35 minutes. It's a breeze. It'll be over before you know it. Let's get to the last record of the week. I knew this one was coming out and everything, but it hit a lot harder than I was expecting it to. We're going to talk about The Ox by Blockhead. Blockhead's a producer on the Backwoods Studios label. This is the last Backwoods release of the year, I believe. They kind of went out with a bang. I'm glad they kind of did this style because they did a lot of good records this year. You got Billy Woods doing Maps, and you have the Arm & Hammer record, which technically isn't on Backwoods, but I'm still counting it. You had the Fielded record, you had the Fatboy Sharif record. All of those have been pretty good. And we're kind of ending with a kind of old school style collaboration producer, a whole bunch of different rappers type record, which is great because this stuff doesn't really happen a lot anymore. I know Dreamville did their Revenge of the Dreamers series, which is pretty decent, but it's like this has the feel of like the old school New York 90s kind of collab tapes, and where everybody's just going hard, having fun, nothing too serious, and the beats are great. Yeah, the feature list on this record is stacked. We got what do we got? Billy Woods, Navy Blue, Kelly Chris, ASAP Rock, Open Mike Eagle, Breeze Bruin, Arm & Hammer, Bruiser Wolf, Akai Solo, Def C, Shrapnel. Nephew, Fatboy Sharif, and Danny Brown and Despot. A lot of good stuff on here. If you're into like the indie like slash underground rap area, you have a lot of the best doing it right now on this record. I think Billy Woods executive produced this thing, which makes sense. I feel like he's reached an amount of clout now where he has a lot more connections in this indie rap sphere, and he can get a lot more pull from these people. So you get a record like this, and I'm glad that it exists because it just feels like a warm kind of send off to this year. And I wish hip hop in the mainstream would be going towards this way a little bit more because this is like just so refreshing of a record. But yeah, we got 15 tracks here. The first one, AAU Tournaments. This one's with Billy Woods and Navy Blue. These two work really well together just because they have not more of a monotone, but more of a laid back, subdued style. And they mesh really well together. Blockhead's style is kind of more of a chameleon when it comes to producing. I feel like he can do the sampled stuff, he can do the more digital stuff, he can do pretty much everything. So this record ends up like being a ton of different styles as well. But this one a more like subdued jazz loop with a little bit of guitars coming in. Really good. I mean, we're not getting the best Billy Woods verses of the year on here because he has so many to compete with, but they're still like, better than 99% of the stuff you're going to hear. My favorite line from this song is definitely for every Jack Harlow, it's a white boy who didn't make it and works in crypto and intellectual property. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Navy Blue did fantastic on here as well. His wordplay is awesome. His flow's great. It's just really good. The Cella Dwella's New was the first and only single, I think. That one was with Quelle Chris. Pretty great. Quelle's definitely got one of those more unique voices in hip hop. I haven't like really dug into Quelle's like solo stuff. I do need to do that, but this one's pretty good. I like this one. Mississippi with ASAP Rock, the first ASAP Rock appearance of 3, I think, on this record, which is crazy. I think ASAP Rock just released an hour-long album, too. I need to listen to that. I've been putting it off, but I do need to go back to it because he killed it on every single track he had on this album. But really, really, really like old 50s style, like novelty vinyl sample. Based around the entire, like, he takes Mississippi and runs with it for an entire song through his verses. He's doing number tricks, he's doing a whole bunch of stuff. ASAP Rock's just another one of those guys who's just like nerdy when it comes to wordplay. And it turns out really well. The beat has like a really old kind of 90s mixtape, almost like cypher quality to it, where it is very simple and is on a very predictable loop, and it just really lets the artist shine over the top of it, which is great. Mastering How to Land, we had Koreatown Oddity and Open Mike Evil. Pretty good. I mean, it's not like my favorite out of these, but the vibe of it is really cool. A little bit more sinister when it comes to that. We'll jump down to Give Thanks. This one has Arm & Hammer on it. This is not going to be better than any Arm & Hammer song on the last record, but it is still really good. Definitely a more like reflective kind of sending the year off type thing. I feel like this is the last we'll hear from them this year, I would imagine. You never know. It feels like they never stop doing stuff, but in my opinion, Elucid carries this song. He does so well on this beat. I feel like some beats he just kind of knows his way around better than most people will. Hook is great, really great. Billy Woods has a pretty good verse on the back end. I don't know. I think Elucid takes this on, though, definitely. We got Poppy Seeds. We got another Bruiser Wolf edition here. It's weird because it's like a love R&B song from Bruiser Wolf, who I've just described as a kind of stand-up comedian of a rapper. It's weird, it's funny, but it also sounds really great. This is just the weirdo stuff you can get from records like this, and it doesn't feel like a throwaway track at all. It's like it's definitely a collaboration where you kind of jump in between vibes and everything, but like I don't know, it's still pretty great. Akai solos on God is Busy. Pretty nice, kind of like almost sounds like a Haram outtake. It has kind of like this mystical, dusty kind of string heavy sample. And Akai solo is great. He's again more like this Earl Sweatshirt type kind of artist. When he kind of just does like this more monotone, like spitting words at you constantly. But his wordplay is really, really great. No verse or no choruses or anything on this one. It's just going for 2.5 minutes. Gargamel is also really great. Def C and Shrapnel. What a combo. I mean, Shrapnel works best when it's a more ominous beat, and that's exactly what they give him. Both members of Shrapnel absolutely kill it. I'm ready for them to do another record. Yeah, Curly Castro is fantastic on this thing. I don't know. I saw these guys live when I went to the Billy Woods show, and it's like the kind of music they make does not match their personalities in person at all because they just look like the biggest teddy bears, and then they're making music that sounds like this, and it's kind of crazy. But Pink Lemonade, track 13, maybe the biggest surprise on this record for me, because it features RXK Nephew, who's someone I have not heard of before. Until this song, he made a very strong impression. Genius does not have the lyrics made for these songs yet, so I can't even do any quotes or anything. But he is very interesting. He's got like a more new style, almost trap kind of flow, where it's very like quick, quick enunciation and like big pauses. It's kind of hard to describe, but he's really funny. They gave him like a blue snowball microphone, so it's overblown and really low quality, but it also goes really hard. He reminds me of like a Zach Fox, where like he can really string together a verse and it's really hilarious. But I feel like he has a better way of like surrounding a track than Zach Fox is. It's not like strictly comedy. He's also like paying attention to what he's doing a little bit more. But it's just a lot of one-liners and like unexpected twists and turns. It was just a lot of fun of a track, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is, but this is one of like the biggest first impressions you can make on someone for not having heard who you are yet. It is bizarre, but it's great. And they give him 5 minutes to go, and he just doesn't stop going for 5 minutes. And he comments almost near the end of the song that like this is such a long beat. Why am I still going? Yeah, really great. And then we got the last song. Now that's what I call a posse cut. This one has Bruiser Wolf, Danny Brown, Billy Woods, and Despot on it, which should not be a combination of individuals that work on one song ever. Second Billy Woods and Danny Brown collaboration this year, which is bizarre because they're so different from each other. They're maybe the most polar opposite rappers you can probably get. But it works really well. I mean, you have the first two of Bruiser Wolf and Danny Brown being a little bit more silly. They still go really hard, but it's a little more silly. And then you have Billy Woods and Despot, which are both like lyrical heavy hitters at the back end. Yeah, Bruiser Wolf, amazing one-liners on this thing. There's one rock paper scissors line that I love. I can't think of it right now, and Genius does not have the lyrics on this album yet for some reason. Actually, they do for this one. Where is it? I need to find it. Yeah, I'll find it. Oh, there we go. I'm a hustler by nature. I don't play the game with my hands. I take the scissors, cut rock, and make paper. Out of nowhere, I'm like, okay, I see you. It's like stupid, like wordplay stuff, and at the same time, he can throw one of those at you, and it's like, oh, okay. It definitely keeps you entertained the whole time. I love it. But yeah, the Danny Brown verse into the Billy Woods verse is like total whiplash, but it's really nice. Posse cuts are kind of something that's not really existent anymore. Artists will do it every once in a while. It used to be a bigger thing in like the mid-teens, and then obviously before. I mean, there was you'd get ciphers of like 10 or 12 different artists on a song for like 15 minutes back in the day, the 90s and stuff like that. But to bring it back with something like this is really fun. The beat is like so subdued and kind of a background thing to this, where it literally is like four dudes sitting in a room passing a mic around and seeing what comes out. It's just hilarious going from like Bruiser Wolf, who's just like making these really kind of funny one-liners, and then you get to Billy Woods going through like like a 6 to 8 bar verse where he's rapping in like the Vietnam War with all of these things. It's just funny how that's in the same song. Despot might have the best verse on this song though, and it closes out the album. Despot does not get around too much anymore. I'm not too familiar with his catalog. I know he doesn't pop up very much. He popped up on Versailles, which was on Billy Woods Aethiopes, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he still exists." He comes back for this and absolutely kills it. There's something about his verse where he's not only like doing a typical rhyme scheme where you're physically rhyming words, he's also rhyming like the syllables and the way he's enunciating the words as he's saying them. So you have like a double rhyme scheme going on, and it's kind of ridiculous the like technical skill that goes into this verse, and you can just hear it. It's pretty insane. But yeah, great way to end it. This is a fantastic collaboration record. It's fun. It's free. It's like one of the most refreshing hip hop releases I've heard in a long time. It doesn't have any confines. It just brings a whole bunch of fantastic artists that aren't like necessarily mainstream, but have a pretty big cult following in the underground, more indie scene. You bring all of them together, get a really fantastic producer behind it, and something like this comes out. I feel like with collab albums like this, I usually only like end up saving like half of the tracks and going back to them because those are the artists I like on it. This one, I'm like getting introduced to new artists and some artists that I already love, and I'm like adding all these songs. So, really fantastic job, really fantastic send off to the year for Backwoods as a label. Pretty amazing. I feel like all the albums I talked about are pretty much on the same plane for me, so it's going to be hard to kind of rank going into the end of the year list because all of these are kind of trying to budge in a spot for the end. But yeah, all really great stuff. It was a big week unexpectedly. But I don't know if there's anything else coming this year. I think we'll be doing the Sanfa album next. But I don't think there's anything else really coming that I know of. I say that now, and then something will probably happen. But yeah, looking at upcoming stuff, I think we're kind of slowing down a little bit, which is good because we're gonna be doing lists about a month on the main channel. So
Yes.
stay tuned for that. But I think with that, that's all I have.
Nice. Well, I think that'll do it for the podcast then. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what next week is going to have. I don't have any specific plans. I realized it would have been really funny to watch The Killer and Killers of the Flower Moon in the same week. Missed opportunity. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I don't even know. Things have been really hectic because it's getting, Black Friday deals. Everybody's buying stuff. It's been a lot of long days. So we'll see if I'll even have time for a movie, but I'll try. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. Bye.